good. So I did a video about the box opening on the Skald. I did a video on building the Skald. Now, if you guys want to see how I paint this bad boy, which is the Skald, yeah, there you go. He's pretty awesome. Let's get the focus in on this guy. There he is. So, if you want to see me paint this cool dude, then you've clicked on the right video. We are going to... Oh, I just fixed my damn zoom. Alright, we are going to paint this guy. And me and you are going to do it together. Enjoy the video. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the Skald's flesh, and I'm going to do a base of the Amphitheus Flesh 5 by Watercolors. You can get this through Para Bellum Games. So we've got this guy, he's all primed up, and we are going to paint his hands and his face. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of paint. Now, I've thinned out this paint quite a bit, so we are going to probably have to do a few coats to it. We'll start off with the first one, and we'll see how that goes. So, getting there. Now there's a bit of the lip, and don't forget his ears are back here as well. Now it's okay if you get a little bit on the hair, because we'll just do the hair afterwards. Anyways, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna paint the rest of the rest of him. Okay, now that we got his hands and his face finished, we are going to give it a wash of Citadel's Reichland Flesh Shade. So I am just going to put this wash over his face, just like this. Get some, and like I said before, don't forget his ears, because that is also very important. Everybody deserves to have ears. Wash this. Get inside his mouth. So we're doing his hands. Alright, now I'm going to do dry brush, light dry brush, Acadian Flesh Tone. Now going to do a dry brush of Kislev Flesh. We are now going to base the hair with Wild Rider Red from Citadel. Alright, now that we got the hair done with the base, we're going to give it a wash of Seraphim Sepia from Citadel. Okay, now that we've done the wash and it's dry on the hair, we are going to dry brush with Fire Dragon Bright from Citadel. dry brushing on the hair. We are now going to do a little bit of dry brushing with Avalon Sunset and just around the tips, just to make it a little bit brighter in some of the shiny places. So. Now that we've finished doing the hair on this guy, we are going to do the straps around his feet, and we are going to do his pouch with contrast snake bite leather. Okay, now that I've painted the leg or ankle straps in the pouch with the snake bite leather, I'm going to go ahead and paint with contrast gore grunta fur. The boots, I'm going to paint the bagpipe, and I'm also going to paint the cloak with gore grunta fur. Now that I've finished painting that with the Gorgonta fur, I'm going to wait for it to dry. But while I'm waiting for it to dry, I'm going to paint his pants with Sigor brown contrast. Okay, so I painted his pants with the Sigor brown. I also went and painted the sleeve to his sword with it as well. I figured I might as well use that color for both of them for now. And while I'm waiting for those to dry, I'm going to go ahead and paint the tree stump with contrast wildwood. Alright, now that I've got all my contrast paints dried, we are going to do a little bit of dry brushing. And we're going to do some dry brushing on his pants first, and we're going to use dried bark for that. So I gave it a little bit of a dry brush of the dried bark. We are now going to give it a little bit more of a dry brush on the pants using Rhinox hide. So we've brightened them up just a tad more, and we're just going to hit the edges with a little bit of Gorthor brown. Now we're going to do a bit of dry brush on the wood, and we are going to use Talaran sand. it to the wood with some sandry dust. Now we've done the wood, we are going to do some dry brushing on the boots, the bagpipe, and the cloak. And the first dry brush we're going to do is we're going to use Doombull Brown. Dry brushing of Doombull. Now we are going to use Vallejo red leather for a little bit more dry brushing. Finished doing the dry brush to the contrast paints, we are going to start painting the upper gown, and we are going to do a base coat of burnt red from Vallejo. Okay, now that the burnt red from Vallejo is dry, we are going to wash the red with Agrax Earth Shade. Okay, now we've got the wash all dry on the red. It's really dark. We are going to start highlighting this red with Vallejo Red, which is red. Okay, so I gave it a bit of a highlight of the Vallejo Het Red. I am now going to go another layer into a highlight, and I'm going to use Citadel Wazdaka Red. Wazdaka Red. Okay, so I've done my highlights of the Wazaka whatever red, and I'm just gonna hit the tips of like the folds of the cloth with some Evil Sun's Scarlet. Now that we're done doing the red, we are going to do the white undershirts. Now, my army's theme is red and white, so that's why we're doing the red upper shirt and the white underneath. Although in the box art, it is green. We're going to be doing that with Vallejo off-white. Okay, now that we've cleaned up the inner shirt, or inner armor shirt, with the white, we're actually going to be using a contrast apothecary white. It's contrast, but we're going to use it like a wash. We're not going to thin it down. To me, it is a wash. It's not contrast. But we're going to use that, and that's how we're going to do our white cloth. Alright, now that the whatever white contrast, apothecary white, is dry, we are going to highlight using off-white from Vallejo again. Okay, now that we finished doing some highlights to the white, we are going to do the handle of the sword, and we're going to base that with warp lock bronze. Okay, now that that bronze is dry, it looks very dark because it is very dark. It's got a bit of a metallic shine to it. We are going to wash that handle with some non-oil, and yes, we are going to make it darker, but we will definitely make it a little bit more shinier when we do the dry brush. Okay, so the non-oil is dried on the sword handle. It's very dark. We actually made it darker than it was, but now we're going to dry brush it with Sycorax bronze. Okay, we did the dry brushing on the sword handle. You can see it's a bit shiny, right? It's just sticking out. It is a dark sword handle, but that's okay. That's what we want. That's the theme for my army anyways, is the bronze sword handles. We are now going to do the silver on him. So this is the bagpipe poles, the chain mail, and as well is the bands that are around the sword sleeve. So we are going to use Citadel lead belcher for this. Okay, now that we've got all the lead belcher on our Skald, we are going to wash that lead belcher with, once again, some null oil. Alright, now that our non-oil is dry on our metal, we are going to do some dry brushing, but not with a big dry brush. We're actually going to, this is what's good about having a cheap brush, we're just going to put some paint of Runefang steel from Citadel on the brush, but we're going to do the same thing you do with a dry brush effect and take most of it off, and we're just going to run along the edges with your regular paintbrush, scraping off some of that paint. Okay, now that we're done doing the metal on this guy, we are going to go around and do the stitching, the trim on the shirts, and the trim on the cloak very carefully with Wraithbone White by Citadel. Okay, now that I've done all the trim work with the Wraithbone on the bagpipe, the shirts, and on the what do they call it again? Cloak. So, or cape, cloak or cape. We are now going to paint the base black in preparation for basing. Alright, now that we've painted the base black on him, we are going to start with some crackle paint from Citadel, Technical Argillian Earth. So we're going to layer that on. Okay. Now that my crackle paint is dry on the base, I'm going to add some white glue. Some of the places, the black, and maybe a little bit here, a little bit more around here. And now, I'm going to take my static grass mixture, and I'm going to sprinkle it just like this onto the base. Notice how I have a catcher? Okay, while that static grass is still drying on the base, I'm going to use a little bit of Technical Armageddon Dunes. It'll give us some bumps around the base. Alright, now that my static grass and the rough mixture technical paint is dry on this base, I'm going to give the base a wash of Agrax Earthshade. Okay, the wash on the base has all dried. I am now going to give it a dry brush of Iraqi sand from Vallejo. given it a dry brush, I am now going to add a couple of tufts to the base itself. Some taller grass. Okay, I've added 2 tufts of grass on this around the boots and the tree. I am now going to clean up the edge of the base with black. Vallejo black. Alright guys, now that he's done, there he is. And that is how we paint the Skald by Para Bellum Games. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so I can make more videos because I love painting. Okay, there he is. Looks really good. Thanks guys. Take care.